The Australian Parliament has passed new legislation that gives federal police nearly unrestricted power to hack personal computers, take over social media accounts, and email accounts of any citizen suspected of criminal activity. What has been going on in Australia is more than insane, but with this new legislation, I think it's safe to say that Australia has fallen. With this legislation, the federal police will be able to hack into your email or social media accounts without you knowing, add, delete, or modify content, and impersonate you, including sending and receiving messages. Issued warrants to take this action would not have to be signed off on by a judge or magistrate. Now, it's no surprise that the surveillance state exists not only in Australia, but in a lot of countries in the world. And supposedly there's these checks and balances and whatever that supposedly they have to be accused of such and such and there has to be a warrant and whatever else. But we all know that based on the information that the people that have been researching and looking into this stuff know, that those powers can be abused, and the threshold for someone's ability to just access, hack, and surveil you is actually fairly low, but it does exist. In this case in Australia, they're just like, nope, no checks. Considering what's been happening in Australia, including camps, people being tracked down at homes and taken away, and a variety of other limitations on movement, how long you can spend outside exercising, and a lot of other insane things, this is no surprise. Let this be a warning to everyone. And although I really empathize with the people of Australia, and I understand that most countries and most people of the world look to the United States for guidance and leadership, especially in these troubling times, I hate to say it, but Australia, you guys need to do something about this. I don't know what you need to do, but you gotta do something. Because I really don't know what else there is left for them to take. I mean, you can't move, you can't leave your home, you can't have people to your home, you can't travel more than 5 miles or 5 kilometers or whatever it even is. I mean, now the ability for you to communicate, now they can impersonate you. I mean, what is there? What else is there? Nothing. And considering that the checks and balances for this program are basically non-existent, to simply say that you're suspected of some activity essentially means that they could do it to anyone, anywhere, at any time, forever. And what the government taketh away, they never give back. Even just today, some outlets like Reuters have announced that the Australian government is now mulling over potentially new restrictions on digital wallets and payment providers like Apple Pay, WePay, and Google Pay, to name a few. So tighter regulations on payment systems and wallets, pretty much the unbridled access to any of your digital content, limiting your ability to move, forcing you into certain facilities, and a variety of other things. It's like, what else is there to take? Because the way that it's done and the way that it's always done is you never let a crisis go to waste. Under the guise of safety and protection and the good of everyone, or whatever the current crisis is, these unrestricted power grabs are happening not only in Australia, but all around the world. And as everybody is completely mired by fear, their ability to relinquish their freedoms and liberties at a trying time as they're weighed down by stress, that's how they do it. Because the sad reality of all this is that it's not about your protection. It's about capitalizing off of a crisis, whether real or manufactured, and grabbing as much power as possible. Because once they get it, they'll never have to give it back. And they don't care about the human suffering that happens as a result of all this stuff that, of course, is naturally done to protect you for your safety. They don't really care about that. And the statistics and the evidence make that more than clear. Even just today, there's an article about 3 Pakistani students committing suicide in Australia due to the restrictions. Every year, over 65,000 people attempt suicide in Australia. More than 3,000 people die a year of suicide in Australia. And suicide is the leading cause of death for Australians between the ages of 15 and 44. And what are some typical causes of suicide? Stressful life events, trauma, mental illness, physical illness, drug or alcohol abuse, and poor living circumstances. What do you think locking someone in a prison in their own home and restricting their ability to see people exercise and be healthy is going to do to them? Because if your family member in some parts of Australia lives more than 5 miles away, you haven't been able to see them for a really long time. So, stressful life events. How about losing your ability to make money, losing the ability to see your friends and family, losing your ability to move, losing your ability to run your business or generate an income? Sounds like stressful life events. Trauma, like perhaps a family member getting sick and you not being allowed to go see them, or perhaps them needing some type of brain scan, for example, which there have been news articles about, and you not being allowed to go take them. So all of the missed scans, that sounds like some trauma. Mental illness, like not being able to go and see your doctor, like not being able to go and see your family members, like not being able to go to a church or a place of worship or a place where you could go and talk to somebody in person. Physical illness. You can't exercise outside for more than 1 hour. The vast majority of people don't just have a gym at their house or even know how to exercise at home without being at a gym or on a treadmill. So you can, and then you can't even go outside to do it. What about people that live in apartment buildings or live in a small confined space? All right. Drug and alcohol abuse. I'm not sure what else would make you more likely or more prone to drug or alcohol abuse than being stuck in a prison, but okay. Or not even being able to go to a church, for example, where lots of drug and alcohol abuse treatment centers and treatment meetings are held. Or your ability to go and see people like your sponsor or go to other AA meetings or a variety of other things. Sounds like that's going to be pretty bad for drug and alcohol abuse, but okay. And all of these things naturally amount to poor living circumstances, which literally means that almost every single cause of a person doing the most horrible thing to themselves, taking their own life, which also affects other people around them, the morale in the community, families, and has so many other effects, even beyond that original person, all of the stages are set for it. What are the things that typically prevent this from happening? Supportive social relationships. Well, you don't have that. Can't see people, can't have them over to your house. A sense of control. You definitely don't have a sense of control. A sense of purpose. Well, you can't go to work. You can't do your job. Not a lot of purpose going on there. Family harmony. You can't see your family if they're more than 5 miles away. Effective health seeking. Well, you can't really seek much help if you can't move. And positive connections to good health services available. And we know that your inability to move and your inability to go places probably hurts that as well. The stage is set. It's a trap. Yep. Even in early 2020, Australian experts suggested that suicides could go up by as much as 50%. Because of these restrictions. And that was 1.5 years ago. They knew that this could happen, yet did that stop anything? It's for your safety, gals and guys and theys. And just 3 weeks ago, Lifeline, the Australian suicide prevention hotline, recorded 3,345 calls, the highest daily number of phone calls in the organization's history. Now, in their defense, Australia is putting quite a bit of money towards mental health facilities and pop-up clinics, and supposedly they're saying that the suicide rate has supposedly not increased, but this data takes time to come out, and all of the factors for the stage to be set for people to be suffering mentally is totally obvious to anyone paying attention. If we as citizens of Earth don't realize that this unchecked and unregulated and unmitigated power being absorbed, these liberties and freedoms being taken away right before our very eyes, if we don't see this, and at the very least be willing to talk about it so that more people are aware. This is an incredibly slippery slope that many of us have been warning about for a really long time. And it's sad to see that this is happening to our world, and as people will beef with each other, their neighbors and their family members about wearing a diaper or not, or don't you want to say, it's like there is a huge toll of human suffering that's happening, and all of these liberties and freedoms being given away will not save anyone from it. And I'll leave you with a quote that seems incredibly profound at this very moment in time. The greatest form of control is where you think you're free when you're being fundamentally manipulated and dictated to. One form of dictatorship is being in a prison cell. You can see the bars and touch them. The other one is sitting in a prison cell, but you can't see the bars, but you think you're free. But hey, it's for your safety.